Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jared Brandon.
Chris Graham.
Me, Todd Novak. And we've got a super duper special guest. I am very pleased to bring forth to you, the listeners, a new sensation that we've discovered and been talking to and are extremely excited to talk to. And that is
Florian Schneider.
Of?
Millimetric Instruments.
Yes, Florian Schneider of Millimetric Instrument. You have probably seen his guitars on Instagram, and it's probably stopped you in your tracks, and you're like, what the... and so that's why we're talking, because I did the very same thing, and I got a hold of him immediately, because I was incredibly excited and intrigued by his work. We will get into that in just a little bit. First of all, welcome everybody. We're a stride or two into 2017, and I think the collectively, maybe the universe is, if there was a visual, it would be walking from land onto the edge of a frozen pond. Very tentatively, like, is this thing gonna hold? You snorted.
I did.
Yeah. That seems to be like just the collective, like a little bit of crouch, a little bit of hands out, a little bit of holding our breath, going, I hope this thing doesn't just completely fall apart. So it's a pretty interesting time to be alive, if nothing else. How is it up there in Montreal right now, Florian?
It's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always cold, isn't it?
Not that much snow, but it's getting cold. Freezing cold.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we're not too far off. I mean, it's pretty cold here. I like it, having it change up and stuff myself.
Do you have like a ton of snow?
No, we've had some snow, but not a ton.
Yeah.
And the people in Bahrain and elsewhere, speaking of that, I just want to throw out a couple hellos to, we got some new listeners, and they are in from, we've got some people from Uruguay.
Nice.
And Bahrain.
My cousin was out there.
And a whole bunch of other places. So you look for those in upcoming welcome posts from us. But it's so exciting seeing somebody new raise their hand and say, hey, I'm listening. It's cool. And France and Canada are coming in super strong. So you're covered on both ends on that one, Florian.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I think you're gonna get a few more, maybe. I hope so.
We want
France.
all of your fans.
I'll try to get them up.
All of them. And you can have ours. How's that? It's a fair trade. Fair trade.
All right. Fair trade.
So right now we're kind of like headlong into NAMM. Or NAM, or NAM, depending on what part of the country or world you're from. You are not there right now, right?
Nope.
Okay. Are you going to be gearing up for that, like, soon?
Maybe in a few years, I think.
A few years, man, you'd kill it there.
What do you? It's like $4,000 to $7,000 a table.
Oh,
that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of money to shovel to go there.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we might do it with a few friends who have companies, like my friend from Todd Electronics,
Right.
and another friend from Ground Control. They both make pedals. Totax makes also tube amps and stuff like that. But we might go down there maybe for a summer now, because I heard that it's a bit less expensive.
Yeah, down in Nashville, it's a lot less expensive.
So
I'm thinking about going there too myself.
Yeah,
so.
Like share a booth and see what happened. But I know a lot of people are asking me to go to NAMM, but I'm like, if you pay the ticket, I'm going.
It's expensive.
No problem.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm going to Vancouver in June. So that will be my first big guitar show. I did the Ottawa guitar show, but it's way smaller than NAMM or any other guitar show. So
NAMM is the biggest event there is.
Yeah.
It's more like a big ass music show than it's all instruments. So it's different than a guitar show.
Oh yeah.
So, well, if you head down to Nashville, please let us know, because I think we're planning on heading down that way as well. So,
all right, but not this year though.
Okay. Yeah, we'll send you some pictures. How about that?
Yeah, sure.
I also want to call out. I had one of the listeners recently hit us up, Jonathan Daly. He sent us a really nice note, and I appreciate everybody sending their notes. We would try to get to everybody calling you out and everything. And he had another good suggestion for one of our episodes. And I think we've kicked this around. We have sort of a backlist of episodes that we want to do, but I liked hearing it from him. He suggested that we do a pedal board build. So I think we'll do some sort of a combination, I don't know how. We've got a couple ways that we've been wanting to do that, but it's good to know somebody was like, hey man, do one of these. All right. Well, we can get on that. So let's get to, I don't want to spend all the time on business stuff. So let's get to what's going on in our worlds this week. That's my radio voice.
Nice.
It's nice.
Yeah, Jared.
Very smooth.
Why don't you lead us out?
Okay.
That's a great story. Chris, how about you?
See you later. So I ordered 20 sets of strings, and they're the same brand, and they're the same everything.
Why are you laughing about it?
I don't know.
Should probably do that.
Was it an accident?
No, it was on purpose because I like nines and I like Elixir strings.
Okay.
So I bought 20 sets of those. And
Elixir strings are really good. I use them on all my builds.
Really?
my first time seeing Elixir strings was in Washington. I was in the service out there, and it was at a guitar shop, and the guy said, hey man, check these strings out. They're on this acoustic guitar, and they're really bright and crisp and clear. And I was like, holy crap, this is a cheap guitar, but these strings sound amazing. And he said, and they're going to for a long time because they have this nano web or poly web or whatever the crap it is. Or
it's a coating on a
coating on the strings. It protects the strings from getting dirt and grime and all that kind of stuff. So
or oxidizing,
whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So,
and they keep the brightness for a long time. That's why I use them, because
I want to ask Chris really quick before we lose the topic of conversation, because Chris is a pretty avid and experienced acoustic person.
Yeah.
So you're gonna crap on these, aren't you? Right now, I can see it in your face.
No.
Yeah, you are.
There was some temptation.
You just grabbed your ankles a little bit.
I really like Elixirs on an electric guitar. I don't love them on an acoustic, but I play Martins, and I don't think Martins and Elixirs play well together. I use the Martin coated string on my guitars.
So you use a coated string.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
The 20 sets that I bought are all electric, and I feel the same way you do, Chris. I don't put Elixirs on Martins. I put Martins on Martins.
There you go.
But
purists.
Well, it's a Martin.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot of brands of guitar strings I like for acoustic, but yeah.
So that's pretty much new. And the reason I bought so many, I thought, well, you know what? This year, part of my resolution is I'm going to take more care of I don't even know how many guitars I have, electric guitars. I'm going to go through all my guitars, and if I think the strings are dead, I'm going to change the strings and do more maintenance on my guitars.
That sounds like the best week ever. I love maintaining and working on the guitar stuff.
That's the fun of owning it.
Because I'm not doing any builds or anything. Ugh. Anyways. All right, cool. Chris.
Yeah, I've had a fun couple weeks since we've been off. I, in college, was at a friend's house one day, and I looked over, and there was a very small, very old Fender amplifier. And at the time, I didn't know what it was, but he said, it's my neighbor's, it doesn't work. And I said, do you think he'd sell it to me? And I could see if I could fix it. And he said, yeah. So I offered him $150 for it. And lo and behold, it was a 1966 Fender Princeton Reverb, possibly one of the top 5 guitar amps of all time. Mm-hmm. And so I've had it for years, and it is awesome. But I've been going in and just kind of cleaning it up and modernizing it a little bit in a good way.
You made it digital?
Yeah, I made it digital. But just replacing like the filter cap, finally got around to that. And I put a new power transformer in it because somebody had put in the wrong power transformer, and that was pushing it a little bit too hard. So I've been holding the soldering iron and a lot.
Awesome.
And it's been so fun. And it sounds like Jesus crying.
So it was rewarding.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
All right. Florian, how about you?
Let's see. 2 weeks ago, I made the most, I think, boring gear purchase.
Oh, wait. Okay.
That would be a
Buffer
pedal board
pedal?
power supply.
Oh, gosh, that is even worse than a buffer pedal, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's pretty boring. But and yeah, so that led to me rewiring everything on my board, and after Christmas I got a few new pedals, and so yeah, I've been changing stuff. I got in a trade some pedals from Chris over at Shoe Pedals. I don't know if you know him.
Oh wait, you posted that, didn't you?
Yeah. A silver apple and a savior machine, one fuzz and a drive. So, and I got also a micropog and a deluxe memory boy. So yeah,
Holy moly, you've been busy.
but I just did trade, so it didn't cost me a lot of money, so that's okay.
Nice.
Just the damn power supply, and they're pretty hard to come by used. So yeah, that's pretty boring to buy new.
No, that's cool. As for me, I am in the middle of a pedal build myself, and I really wanted to do something unique with with LEDs, making them actually active. So they were responsive LEDs. What's
Oh, nice.
Yes. So I'm super excited about what we landed on. I say we because my drummer in some of the bands I play in are he's very, very electronically inclined, and I am to a degree, and that's where he kicked in. He's like, "Man, I got a whole bin full of stuff." I was like, "Let's party!" So I'm excited. And provided it works out well, then I think it'll be fun / unique enough to probably do a handful of them, at least 5, and get them out there just for like a little Instagram sale or something like that. Okay, cool. We're all good. We're blowing through this because we just want to talk to Florian about his awesome stuff. So let's see. Let me do a proper introduction on not on you but for you. That would be weird. So I discovered Florian on Instagram. Instagram is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. And if you're a guitar player, which is why you'd probably be listening to this podcast, I'm sure it is for you too. And occasionally you go through your feed and you're like, yeah, I've seen this. Oh, that's cool, da-da-da. And you're like, what is this? Even in the saturated guitar world we live in, with guitars and pedals and amps and all the things that go with it, it is harder and harder to be truly surprised or kind of even blown away. When I saw what he was doing, I immediately was just knocked over, and I went through every single picture that he had. I went to the Facebook, I went to his website. I was just like, I gotta know about this. What's going on here? His guitars are very different, and not just from a when you look at them right off the bat, you don't go, yeah, okay, that's different. It goes way deeper than that, and that's when he and I connected over the Christmas break. That became even more evident. So I was very excited to ask him to come on the show, and this is his first podcast. So we snatched this one up. What's up, everybody else? So Florian.
Yes.
Let's just get a real quick kind of set the stage for you. Okay.
Well, let me interject.
Oh, here we go.
I almost want to say, like, if you're listening right now, well, I guess you are listening right now, or else you wouldn't be hearing me.
Yes, I said that on the last podcast.
There we go. I feel like you should Google Millimetric guitars and look at them before we do this conversation. Press pause.
Yeah, well, don't press pause yet, because it's Millimetric, Millimetric.ca for Canada.
Yeah, you need to see the industrial design going on here.
It's pretty amazing
to appreciate what's happening.
Yeah. So, wait, let's pause for people to do that. Okay, and we're back. Please don't do that while you're driving. Please. Hopefully we'll give you enough of a description of what's going on, and then you can look at it later. Or you just be so intrigued. You're like, man, I can't wait to see what these things look like. All right, so guitar. So, like, we're going to just set the stage a little bit. Like, what kicked you off into your interest in guitar? Not as a builder, just as a player.
I would have to say, when I moved, because I was living in a part of France where my parents live in Rennes, in France, and I was living for Lille in the north for school, and I used to play drums. I started drums around 12, I think. And so I was living for Lille, and after that Paris, and I didn't had this. Well, I was playing drums at my parents' house, so I had the space to have a drum set and be able to make noise almost whenever I want.
Yeah, that's rare.
Poor parents. Sorry, mom. Sorry, dad. So yeah, I think about I want to play music in my apartment, and I want to continue to develop. So I started to play guitar because I had a friend. I was already playing in a band. Music with a friend and a guitar player, and so he gave me a guitar, and I started. After that, I bought one and an amp and a few pedals. So it all started from there, because I couldn't have the space to play drums anymore. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Who was one of your major influences on guitar playing? Like what star or band or?
I'm a Steve Albini nut.
Okay.
Yeah, that's is also the main reason why I started building guitars, because I was looking for that sound he has in Shellac and Big Black and a few other bands. Nice. And like a really bright, scorching bright sound, like and it's pretty. Well, at first I was thinking it came from the guitar, so I started to build guitars because of that, and after that I found that it's not just the guitar; it's mostly the amp and his preamp that he's using. So, but yeah, I started.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what was your It's always interesting to hear what everybody's first guitar was. What was your first guitar?
It was, well, the one that my friend lent me was, I think, a Jackson. Really, like, because at the time I was listening to, we were listening to more hardcore music and like, I don't know, Madball and stuff like that. But so he had like hardcore guitar, I should say.
Nice. What was
But
your?
I went to a store after that, and I got an Ibanez AXS32, and yeah, it looks like kind of like an SG with a bigger aluminum brushed guard
Okay.
and two humbuckers.
So you were evil. You were emo evil.
Uh,
You were all emo and evil, right?
well, yeah, nah, I listen to a lot of heavy music, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
What was your first amp?
My first amp, that would be a Marshall Valve State. I think it was 50 watt. I'm not sure.
I had one of those. I had
Well, it was okay, but it wasn't what I would call a great amp.
no.
Oh, it wasn't a
Hasn't-
stupid
it
P
hasn't-
like I had.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be a tube amp to be a great amp. Those Marshall,
Yeah.
meh.
I found it to be very unpredictable. I just always seemed to have kind of an issue for me. But that was me. That was mine, and I got it. Cool. So you started out, and you're doing that stuff. You're doing your kind of like harder music, and I think most of us tend to start out like we jump in the deep end. I don't think there's too many people that like when they first start out, they're going, "Yeah, man, I just want to do something real light and chill." It's like everybody's like, "Look at the power I have!" Yes,
Well, I listen. I listen to a lot of violent music, but I also listen to I consider myself to being a really open-minded, especially in music. So
yeah.
I was playing a lot of violent music, but I can listen to mostly anything. So it's not just like violent stuff and hardcore metal and.
Me too, man. I liked Itzhak Perlman.
Well, he's a violin player. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he said he listened to violin music.
Yeah.
Well, that's Itzhak.
I think he was saying
violent.
violent.
Oh,
Violence.
Yeah.
Yeah, violence.
He was playing a lot of violent music.
that's not Itzhak. Well, I guess some of his stuff could be violent.
Yeah.
If you imagine it to be.
Yeah.
That was probably the first and only Itzhak Perlman reference we'll ever have. So let's see. So take us from there to were you playing guitars and just weren't excited about what you were playing, or did you need to fulfill another kind of creative need? And I'm speaking now as you're going like, hey, I'm going to start building these guitars.
Well, it's all like I think it's all like a process that I developed over like with my studies with the other patients that I had. I used to do a lot of paintings and graffiti when I was in France.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really into designing stuff, and like especially the graffiti part is really, really important in my work, because that's what teach me how to draw and to appreciate visual things, among other things, because I had the chance having parents that took me to a museum and all kinds of stuff. So I discovered a lot of visual stuff being young and at an early age. So, but yeah. And after that, I studied in graphic design, photography. So it developed a lot of visual abilities and stuff like that. But and that's only when I was thinking about moving to Montreal to study guitar making, which I didn't because I was by the time the school in Montreal wasn't taking any French or any other student, only from they took only student from Quebec.
Oh,
So I went to another school, which was for furniture making, called the École d'ébénisterie d'art de Montréal.
oh yeah, I know that. No, I'm just
No, yeah, but it was. I studied there for 3 years, and that's where I studied all the wood part of the.
Right.
Nice.
It's not really. It's related to guitar making, but I didn't do any guitar at school.
Well, I think you said something really interesting. Like, just imagine if you would have gone to guitar school where someone would have told you this is how you make a guitar. Like,
yeah,
holy
my guitars
moly.
would have been really different.
They'd be like everybody else's.
Yeah,
probably.
you're not the only one. A buddy of mine helped another friend of his with building cabinets and furniture, and he ended up building guitars as well, and he's been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of history. There were, I know, even C.F. Martin, of Martin guitar fame, was a cabinet maker before he started making guitars, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the same might have even been true for some like the violin makers of old. The cabinet making and furniture making kind of guilds. A lot of people, ended up making instruments instead.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Well,
some of them.
I had a teacher that used to say every cabinet maker has to be a luthier, and every luthier has to be a cabinet maker, because each one can make you work in the other better.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it's interesting. You started to dip into your actual your cabinet making background, and I mean, for all intent and purpose, let's just say, you're not just making cabinets. You're building furniture, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that furniture that's where we found an early common ground. Because
Scandinavian furniture.
yeah, I'm a fan of the mid-century Scandinavian furniture, and it's clear that you are too.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Well, my day job, because I'm not full time on Millimetric yet. My day job is refinishing Scandinavian furniture only.
Right.
I refinished like a crap load of Scandinavian furniture. So, and I really like those. It's really, to me, that's the not every cabinet maker would agree with that, but to me, it's the most perfect in every way, technical and aesthetic furniture style. Like, to me, it's the best.
Would you say, when I think about that stuff, and I'm also starting to liken them to your work, that they're the way that it looks, it doesn't look built. They look almost carved, and I don't mean carved because it's rough looking. It feels like it was always that shape.
Well, you have to, because to blend like a leg from a table to the top part, you have to make a bigger piece, and after that you have to carve it. You don't have, because it's the only way to blend those two together. So it's kind of like my work on heels and the neck joint. That's how I always see it. It's like a table joint or a chair.
Well, let's just talk about that a little bit really quick. I think that might be after I saw the aesthetic. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I know that there's other stuff going on here. And as I started to look, I think you have one specific picture on Facebook that does a really good job of highlighting this, and it's. It appears to be like almost like a tongue and groove. Your neck actually slides into the body, as well as bolts, correct?
Yeah, because that principle is based on the work of Travis Bean. So it's what I called it, or a few other people called it, a semi-neck through design.
Right.
So you have it's like a bolt on, but it's not bolted for like it goes the paddle. Well, I call that the paddle because it looks like an actual paddle.
Right.
It goes in the back with the 4 bolts, and so yeah, it's really different than a Telecaster neck joint.
Yeah.
But the good thing about it is that it gives you freedom of design, because you don't have to think about having a huge neck pocket. So for example, on my MG6 design, which is a double cut, the fretboard stopped right at the body junction, so you don't have to have like a fretboard that goes over the body. So it gives you like really high upper fret access, and that's one example. Even on my single cut, you don't need to have like a classical neck pocket.
Let me ask you something. Have you compared the level of resonance, let's say yours compared to a Fender, or a Fender type, or a bolt-on neck, or even a Gibson? Because I've never seen a neck joint like yours before. So is there a certain advantage?
Incidentally, when I met my wife, that was the pickup line I used.
There it is.
I've never seen a neck joint like yours before.
I've never taken serious.
I said that to her too. That's crazy.
So is there what's the deal with that neck joint? So elaborate on that a little bit.
It makes the guitar, well, the thing is, you have the strings go through the actual neck and the body, because all my design use strings through bridge.
Yeah.
So, and it makes the guitar feel more solid. It's hard to explain, because it's not solid. It just it makes a stiffer guitar, and it actually pushes a bit more the sustain.
Yeah.
It might be more efficient with the aluminum neck design that Travis Bean uses, or used to use, because the aluminum will really refuse the vibration of the string and really transfer that to the body. So at first, to me, it was about making a guitar that would sound like the sound that I had in my head, and after that, I saw that it was a really good design idea, because I could design any guitar, any body shape, and it would work. So, and I didn't have to make any adjustment on of having an actual neck pocket.
Nice.
So you just talked about having a more solid feeling body, and I think that's interesting or a solid feeling guitar, and I think that's interesting because I'm going to talk a little bit about the actual body, which is, I mean, hands down, that's the thing that you look at and you go, wow, look at this. Actually, let me, before I do that, say that when people go to look at your guitars, and we talked about this during our first conversation, not on the podcast, but I said, "Wow, these are totally unique. These are totally different. Nobody's doing anything like this." You were very quick to say, "Whoa, hang on. I've grabbed this from this builder and this from this builder," and it's like, you definitely have influences.
Oh yeah, that's really important to me, to pay tribute to your influences, because especially in the guitar world,
Right.
I think a lot of people grab idea from here and there, and don't and try to hide where the idea came from. And I always pay tribute to anybody who helped my work, or any idea I saw. I will say where it came from, because
Yeah. Yeah. You were very quick to point those things out. And I
yeah,
thought that
yeah.
was admirable because of what you just mentioned.
Well, you have to, because
Well, you don't
someday.
have to. So a lot of people don't.
Yeah, but at some point, some people will point out that oh, that idea is not yours. That came from blah blah blah. It's not. So I prefer acknowledging right now where my idea came from, and not being cornered by someone on a
Yeah.
forum or stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the point that I was ultimately getting to, which is when if people haven't seen these guitars, if they go to millimetric.ca or they find you on Instagram, when you look at it, you might see, oh wait, that looks like a Travis Bean headstock, a Travis Bean style headstock, or that might,
Oh yeah.
you list that out a couple of other influences. But my point was, that I made with you and that I'll make to everybody else. It's one thing to say, I came up with blank. It's another thing to say that the thing you came up with works or represents a complete idea. And I think the difference, at least in my opinion, in the host's humble opinion, the things that you have collected, the influences that you've taken, both from the guitar world and your world in the furniture, represents the most complete idea of those things put together that I personally have seen. And that's what struck me. You took your influences and you went farther than those influences did.
Well,
originally.
it's like composing music. You have to digest your influences before, because the first guitar I wanted to build was like a Fender Mustang, but I was gearing up to do that, and I was like, I don't want to do like a Fender copy. That's kind of boring. Why not trying to be like really original, but having influence from like, obviously my MG, the first guitar I built was the MG6, and was influenced by Obstructor guitar. Well, they don't just make guitars; they make other stuff. But at that point, they were making all aluminum guitars that are three quarters thick, all along. It's really impressive, and I really love that design. But I tweak it to make it mine.
Yeah.
Uh,
So let me kind of describe
yeah.
this, what we're looking at for the listeners, a little bit more. You are from the top down. I'm just going to kind of describe. Let's see. Let's go for the. Is it the offset? Should we do?
Yeah. The offset is really what put me on the map, I think.
Right, and that's the B. I'm trying to remember the model number on that.
It's MGS3.
Okay.
It stands for Millimetric Guitar Shape 3.
Ooh, that's very
Simple.
yeah. That's very European of you. So that's the difference between someone calling it's the Jaguar, or it's like, no, it's these letters.
Well, that thing with letter and numbers come from the Bauhaus,
Yeah.
because they always do that on the like chair number, blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So if we're looking at this sort of like top down, I'm going to try to paint the best picture I can for the listeners. You've got a wood 3-on-3, or 3 on the left, 3 on the right, headstock with a cutout in the middle resembling a Travis Bean design, just as far as it being cut out. and more of a very sort of simplistic Gibson style headstock. And you've got black machine heads, and then you've got a maple neck, maple fretboard. It is a neck through all the way, so it's a single piece like we've been talking about, but it doesn't go all the way through from one end of the body to the other. It stops about midway or just past there. Your actual fretboard, you've got really interesting inlays. So if you're looking down at the guitar, it's in the I guess there are lines that are in the closest position to you. So they're not dotted in the middle of the board. They're set towards the high end.
Are they? What type of metal are they? Is it aluminum or? Because
The what?
The fret markers.
Oh no, it's a veneer. It's an actual piece of wood that is stained black all the way through.
It looked metallic, and maybe it was a different.
That's maybe the finish. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
And then
Thank you.
continuing down. Yes, thank you, Jared. Continuing down, we've got I guess the best way to say it is an offset, but it's like not an offset that we're familiar with, because it's only offset at the upper part of the neck. So it's got a cutaway, but again, it's not a standard cutaway. Nothing on this guitar is really very standard. It's sort of a blade style body. I guess maybe,
What's interesting to me about the body style is that if I had never seen this and someone brought a guitar in and said and told me, this is brand new, it's modern, made in 2017, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. But if somebody had also walked in with the same guitar and said this was made in 1953, but it doesn't resemble anything I've ever seen before, I would probably buy it. There's a certain timelessness to the.
There's a modernity that
Yeah.
that they started back then that you could pick up now and say the same thing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think
to me that's primarily the thing with offset. You can design any offset shape, any wall, still look like the 50s.
yeah, that's true.
true.
There's, I mean, and that's what we're talking about, mid-century furniture. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Same stuff.
There's almost an atomic
Yeah,
styling to it.
but
Yeah.
it doesn't look. I mean, it's so decidedly different than classic retro guitars. I mean, it doesn't. There's nothing inherently retro looking about it from a face value other
Yeah.
than the sensibilities of that time.
It's almost, to be really weird and spacey, it's almost like you went to a parallel universe in 1962, and this was what got popular instead of Fender.
Yeah.
A
Well,
deep-
go ahead.
A detail that caught my eye is the material you use for your pickguard and your pickups. And if
Yeah.
you've listened to the podcast, I'm a pickup builder, so
Oh, yeah,
I'm
I know.
intrigued. I'm very intrigued with what you're using on this guitar, and I was wondering if. And I'm not asking you who builds it or anything like that. I didn't know if that was proprietary or private or anything. But
all the pickups are my design, but I developed them with the MGS pickups in Toronto.
okay,
Um,
very very cool look. I mean, just fantastic.
Yeah.
And the material.
It's an anodized aluminum, isn't it?
Yeah, something like
Nope.
that, right?
No.
Nope.
Oh, you got us. Okay, what is it?
Yeah, I was using anodized aluminum at first, not on the pickup. I was using plain P90 covers at first, but after designing my own pickups, I started using some just flat plastic, and the thing is, I brush it myself to
Okay.
look like aluminum.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I know what that stuff costs. Because I'm in the industry.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty impressed with what you've come up with pickups. I wanted to give you a compliment on that. It's really great. Now, are they humbucker, single coil, or you can get either or?
I have one. Well, I have two models that you can order for now. It might change in the near future. Um, One is the MM90. That would be a single coil that is a cross between, to me, sound wise, like a bright P90 and a Telecaster pickup, because it's based on the Travis Bean TB500 pickups. So I know Todd like wide ranges pickups.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So Travis Bean used to get wide ranges and rebuild them, but with a different stuff in it. It was using Alnico 5 magnets and stainless steel base plate, but
Oh yeah.
a sick base plate. So
And
it
for those
kinda,
of you who don't know, stainless steel base plates really change the sound.
yeah,
Just, I mean, big time compared to a silver nickel that is standard today.
Yeah.
and it was really thick too. It was like I think he was using uh, close to 1/8 thick plate.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah, that's pretty big.
So
Yeah.
I was using that before, but I stopped because it you can go lower and it doesn't change too much. So
Okay.
yeah.
okay. I'm gonna continue with the body just a little bit because I have a point to make with what you were saying about the stiffness. So you have one of the thinnest bodies that I've seen out there, where it's it almost looks like would that be okay? How would that feel to play? Because we're used to having guitars be heavier and thicker and feeling solid. But what you said about how you've devised the neck into the body, adding to its to it feeling much more solid, obviously plays well into the type of body that you've created. So you're able to have this really thin, lightweight body, but it's extremely sound and rigid, solid feeling, right?
Yeah, that's because I use maple.
Okay,
Like
on all the bodies.
usually, yeah. If a customer wants something else, I can use something else. But my designs goes well with maple. I think.
Right.
That's very Canadian of you.
Well, it's also that I don't want to use I could use like swamp ash and I will use different body woods, but to me, I like the feel of maple because it's a little bit heavier on the, and I like a bit heavier instruments because you feel them, and you can, they can take it, I don't know. It's yeah. I don't really like guitars because I always feel that something is gonna break or I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, you like the durability of maple, basically.
Yeah, and it's nice to paint too. It's really easy to paint.
Well, and you have, I think, atypical colors. Typically, we see a lot of almost stains or lots of bursts and stuff. And you are using unconventional colors, which
and unconventional paint.
Yeah, talk about that. How does being a furniture guy?
I use milk paint.
One more. Explain
Milk.
it a little bit.
Milk paint. It's an old. Well, it's the one that I use is a mix between acrylic and milk. But the actual milk paint is like a casein based.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It's a
What
powder
bakelite?
that you
Yeah.
mix with water and yeah. But
It's-
the one that I
interesting.
use is a mix between acrylic and milk paint.
Wow. So let's talk about your bridge design really quick. I think that is super intriguing. Like, I want one of those bridges, if nothing else. I don't know, just to have. They're pretty cool looking, and they look incredibly functional and super simple, and I'm really interested to hear about your thoughts on that.
That also came with the idea to be original, and if I could build tuners, I would, trust me. But yeah,
So it's
I
a
was
proprietary bridge, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's all my design and not all my ideas again, but it's all my design. I was using Ipshots before, and it was cool. But the thing I didn't like was the side of the bridge has weird curves that it's really hard to match to the pickguard, even with laser cut, and it's really hard to match. So I wanted a bridge that is more simple to adjust on different models and situation. So I just drew a big square thing, and after that I wanted to. I saw I think it was in Ottawa. I saw the Mike Sankey had a similar saddle system, which is some post that raises or lower with the 132 of an inch turn. And I like the idea, but his was fixed intonation. So I wanted to have to be able to intonate differently if I wanted.
Right.
Fixed intonation is a bit of a hassle if you change tunings or strings or stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, like an old Les Paul Jr. or something.
Yeah.
The wraparound.
Well, that's what the
But you
PRSs
can
are and stuff
you
like
can
that.
still on a Les Paul Jr. you can still adjust a little bit the
Right, they have
angle.
the Allen screws on the side, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think that there is ever a vibrato or anything like that in the future?
It's in the works. Yeah. But it's gonna take me a long time to finish that one because a bridge is something, a vibrato system is another.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will be based on because I can't use mastery on my bodies because they're too thin. I'm designing right now a thin line version of my designs, which could be a bit thicker because I could it won't be it would be lighter, so I could go a bit up into in thickness, but yeah, I still want to design a vibrato system because I think it's always fun to have like original parts, and I'm always up for the challenge.
Yeah. No, I mean, hey, look, you've already proven if anybody can do it, I think it's going to be you. So I know we spent a lot of time talking about like all the little bits and parts, and there's as much as we've talked about, there's that much more to find on your own. So I'll encourage everybody to go and pour through your website and your images. Really, I seem to find something new and interesting on them every time I look at them.
Yeah, for you listeners out there, if you haven't already, you have to check these guitars out.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out a wild compliment here. If I were going to be a rock star and associated with a specific type of guitar, you think of like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and you think of a Strat, you think of Jimmy Page, and you think of a Les Paul. I would want to be thought of as with the which one was it? The MGS2. These are just these are amazing. Yeah, they're
MGS2 or MGS3?
MGS2. Like I
Thanks.
love Bauhaus. I love minimalism. I love Scandinavian thing. And there is just an element of design, of industrial design, that is just unbelievable. This is going to be so nerdy, but I've got a watch on that was designed by Dieter Rams, and so I'm just super into that whole thing. And these guitars pay homage to that in a cool way without it being gratuitous. It's just, they're awesome looking.
Yeah, I love Dieter Rams. That's another, because I'm influenced by Scandinavian, but I think the biggest influence would be industrial design in general, because
Yeah.
you can find any ideas anywhere. You just have to look. Cars, motorcycles, lamps, speakers, whatever. You can
Yeah.
find ideas for shapes or details. And I was helped I had a friend. We were roommates for a couple of years, and he was an industrial design. That's my friend Thomas. And
There it is. I could tell that there's this really strong influence of industrial design
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
history
yeah,
of
yeah.
industrial design in your guitars. Okay, cool. Yeah, can go. I'm
Well,
sorry.
yeah,
go ahead.
he was a drummer in a band that we used to play together, and we're like big gear freaks. Like he's all about drums, and I'm all about guitars, and we were roommates for a couple of years. So we always talked about gear and how we see design and simple things, like how can we change. Something into so we always talked about that, and I think that's one of the biggest influence in my vision of Millimetric, because I think it teaches me a lot into being simple and being just in the design, like having the right idea with not too much details, and still a bit of details to make it interesting, So yeah.
I think the word gestalt might come into play a little bit.
Huh?
I wasn't being gestalt.
I
You'll have
didn't
to
understand.
elaborate.
Gestalt is when like when all the things coming together and it's right
Yeah.
for its own
I learned that
not
word
for
in
the
second
sake
grade.
not for the sake of things, that's just a common thing we've been talking about, I think, and that's where you get the industrial design aspect of it, where I think I'm going to draw a real quick comparison, and this is also for anybody who's driving, this will be helpful. When you see like a giant 57 Oldsmobile or like an 80s Trans Am, and you're like, wow, you guys really overdid it there, didn't you? Versus like a 356 Porsche or something that is just like, you look at it and it's just like it's perfect. You can't.
Well,
You almost can't talk about it.
it's America vs Germany.
Yeah, I mean,
good
honestly,
point.
but that's the mentality. It's like, you've clearly made the choices you have for reasons, and I think that's a defining feature, because it's one thing to say, I'm going to make this different, and I gathered immediately from looking at your work and then talking to you that like there were no arbitrary decisions. There were no decisions that you made simply for the sake of like, I just want it to do this way, without having thought of, but will it make it better? Will it compromise my overall design? Will it compromise the intent of what this thing is supposed to do? And that I think that it is so clear that this is really, really quality craftsmanship, not just this is really different.
Yeah, you can tell that when he designed the guitars, there was no like, man, it would really look cool if we A, B, C, and D. It was really thought through.
It was kind of a Vietnamese accent right there.
Sorry, I don't know what that was.
I liked it.
There's a symmetry of thought, like that. All the everything is balanced in the guitar in a way. Even if the guitar itself isn't symmetrical, there's a that's finished.
Yeah.
When you look at it.
Yeah.
Well, I spent a lot of time on the computer, because I design all my guitars at first on paper, but after I moved quickly to a 3D program to make, because in a drawing you can see the general shape, but you can't have all the details and see the actual proportion and stuff like that. So I move really quickly to a to a 3D program. And I spent a lot of time, and especially on the MGS2, which is funny because the MGS3 came out before the MGS2, and that was supposed to be not that the MGS2 was supposed to come out before, but my laser guy switched the files and cut the templates for MGS3 before. So yeah.
So I'm gonna draw a real quick comparison here. So anybody that's seen, everybody that has watched Sound City, raise your hand. No, I meant everybody who's listening, not you guys. So there's a great part in that where they're talking about the fight over analog versus digital and recording. Anybody who hasn't seen the film Sound City, please go watch it. It
awesome.
Is fantastic. It's amazing and a great soundtrack too. But this portion of the film, they're discussing how music was, analog and tape, and then along comes digital, and people were just trying to replace analog with digital. But then they talked about how Trent Reznor was using digital, and he wasn't using it necessarily to replace analog, but to use it in a different way, almost as an instrument itself. And that's where I see, when you're talking about, you're doing 3D modeling and you're doing a computer, some people might say, that's not luthiery. Lasers and stuff. It's like, it absolutely is, because you haven't created the same thing that everybody else has created with just different tools. You're actually saying, what can I do different here? What can I make better? What can I make mine? What can I make unique? What can I make worth having? And I think that's really commendable. I want to ask you one more really quick question. You've obviously gone to some great steps to, I think, evolve a few things in the guitar world. And without getting too deep, can you maybe tell us, is there something in the guitar world that you would like to see evolve?
The clients.
Wow.
Okay.
That's
fair game. Fair game.
That's very nice.
That's the. I think, and it's not like an insult to clients or to the gear community, but I think we live too much in what has been done and not as much as what has to be done, because a lot of design could evolve if the customers were a bit more open-minded, to me. But it's not because if the customers were, if the gear community would be more open-minded to different shapes or different parts or different, I don't know, hardware, pedals or whatever, it would be easier for designers and builders to take risk.
Yeah, I think the term high tide raises all boats.
Yeah,
comes to mind.
I see that a lot. So I'm an audio mastering engineer by trade, and it's certainly a tension that I see with some of my clients, where some clients will sort of be fixated on emulating. They want to sound like their hero, and what they don't realize is that their hero became their hero by trying to do something different.
Yeah,
and the most un-rock and roll thing you can do is just straight up copy.
Yeah.
But, man, I want my guitars to sound just like so and so. That's not rock and roll. You have to take it to a next level and at least synthesize several different, things you're emulating. You're right. There's almost like I think a great word is Luddite. There's an aspect of this Luddite thing going on with the rock and roll guitar sort of whole thing of like, well, we just want to, make America great again.
With my pickup business, I make a living on making old-looking pickups and aging and all that kind of thing because people love that, and that's that's the opposite of what we're talking. We're talking, let's evolve. Let's, go to something new. So, but I want to say when somebody calls me up and asks me, hey, have you ever done this? What if we do that? What if we do this? That's like the highlight of my day. You know, I enjoy hearing new ideas, and
That's like, where do I want to go for lunch? Someplace new? I love it. Hey, so okay, man, oh man, oh man, I just want to keep talking, but I know that we can't because we gotta start wrapping this up. So let's just jump to our next segment. We'll just call that's a bit of a stop right there.
there it is.
How's that for a segue? Okay, our top 4 category for this episode is our new favorite social account that we're interested in at the moment. And I'm spinning the wheel of people. Chris.
I am super into the YouTube channel Uncle Doug. Uncle Doug is this tube amp guru, and I've watched like 5 or 6 hours of his videos, and a lot of it's on tube amp repair and the way that tube amps work. It's been like taking a college course in the way tube amps function, and it has just been such a joy and a relief to be like, oh, that's how that's what a filter capacitor's for. That's what the output transformer does, in addition to just being an output transformer. So man, I'm obsessed with Uncle Doug right now. I watch him like every night.
No, it's great.
So good.
I'm going to have to start watching that. Look, see, it worked.
It's fascinating.
All right. Jared, go ahead.
So on Instagram, I like Schroeder Guitar Hardware. This guy takes your basic. Why are you laughing? You're never taken serious.
I know.
On here.
You did. So, Florian, what you're missing is the sideways. He's sitting sideways and he's talking out the side of his mouth, and it's just.
I always do. I have all my life.
What I like here is a good Polish sausage.
Hey, I like that too. This guy takes your hardware that you see, but he puts his own spin on it. So he tools his own hardware, and his deal is putting his spin on it. It's kind of like an out west cowboy theme type of design, for lack of better description, and he makes it a lot more precise, and he ages it. You can get aged gold or aged nickel, chrome. I like his pictures. I like that account. I like stuff like that. Attention to detail kind of guy.
Florian.
Yeah, I'm torn between two.
Did anybody else want to say lovers? Besides me?
There would be Odessa guitars out of UK.
Odessa guitars?
Yeah,
Yes.
Oddessa, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Nikolai Shore, which would be on Instagram, Shore Guitars, SCHORR Guitars.
Yeah.
And those two guys, I think they're in the same way of thinking forward into the design and stuff, and building different instruments or different parts. Especially Nikolai Shore, who he made like a sliding pickup, but his system is really interesting because it's not you have to look for it, and you'll see why. They all have like alternative finishes, woods, parts, use of materials and stuff like that. So those two accounts are really great.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up with mine, and the first one I have is Honey Tea, which I found last night at the airport, and it's pretty traditional design, I think you could say. It's he's out of is it Brisbane? Let's see, it's Honey Tea and Maplewood, and yeah, he's out of Sydney. That was probably a capital offense to everyone who's Australian by calling somebody from Sydney from Brisbane. I don't know, but he's got his Instagram account. He focuses on he does a lot of really, really, really fine handwork, hand channeling the inlays, and he shows all the time he spends hand carving the necks and stuff. And just the newest portion of his account, he's building a hollow body, I think it's I don't know if it's a semi hollow body. No, it's a hollow body. I think it's hollow body. Anyways, 335 style, but just really beautiful work, and somebody who's clearly loving the painstaking hand detailing of building a guitar literally by hand, hand carving out the actual body for a hollow body. Pretty impressive. Anyway, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Honey Tea and Maplewood. It's under Honey Tea _custom_guitars. Check them out. The other one, since I'm the host, the main host, anyways, I get to pick another one just like the guest. Mataverse, Mattoverse, pedal builder, has got such an entertaining Instagram channel. It's great. He's got cool backgrounds and even cooler pedals, and that's one of the few accounts that I was like, I just looked at your entire account. I don't know if I'm stalking. Does that make me a stalker? I don't know. But he's going to be on the show too. So
nice.
Anyways, all right. Woo, daddies, we got to wrap this up.
Pizza time.
Yeah, it is pizza time. Florian, I cannot thank you enough for gracing us with your presence that wasn't really in our studio, but over the phone. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Oh, thank you. Thanks to you having me on, because that's a pleasure to be there.
Yeah, be wherever you're at. You're there. It was super fun, and I think that automatically makes us all friends for life. So that's cool. Everybody else out there, please go check out millimetric.ca, or look up Millimetric Instruments and give Florian a shout in some way, shape, or form. And did you have anything that you wanted to say, Chris? No?
Nope.
Subscribe! Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit us at our website at theguitarknobs.com for episodes, news, and guest profiles. You can get all social with us on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/guitarknobs. Give us a tweet at guitar_knobs. And check out our gallery on Instagram at guitarknobs. No spaces on that one.